G'day guys, ZiggyD here with a day 2 update for the SSF challenge, the solo self-found challenge. If you didn't catch the earlier videos, the community is coming together for this collaborative event, not GGG ran or anything, just being put together by the community. This idea of doing solo self-found league with a ranking system and ladder and everything like that. And I'm now at /played just over 10 hours, level 59. We did end up spending a fair bit of time getting normal and cruel lab done, so that has inflated our time quite a bit, but well worth it because the progression our character has undergone having done cruel lab has been immense. And that's going to be the main topic, is how our character has progressed here today. Our ice trapper, or our trapper build here, our pox style trapper, and the differences that cruel lab makes when you're playing a Saboteur especially. So, completing normal difficulty, between like the end of normal difficulty and where we are now, there was a pretty rough patch, mainly with single target damage. Our AoE was pretty good, but actually dealing single target was a bit rough. We were trying to stack up fire traps and ice traps, and the traps wouldn't really go off a lot of the time. You'd throw out a cluster trap and only 1 or 2 would go off, and it just, the single target was not very good. Now, you could maybe supplement this in the future if I was redoing this with something like bear trap to help with the single target early on, but there was a bit of a rough patch not having really any good single target there. Now, what's kind of funny is that in order to get chain reaction, which I knew would be the solution, you have to do Cruel Labyrinth. And to do Cruel Labyrinth, you need pretty good single target damage, because depending on what spawns, you may need to kill certain ads that require good single target damage, and you of course need to kill Azaro. So I actually took 2 attempts at the Cruel Labyrinth, because it was golems, which you have to kill as he activates them before he actually fully summons them, and then also charges, which you need to kill him fast enough and balance the charges so that it don't stack up and he becomes basically unkillable. Well, the first time I did that, charges stacked all the way up. It wasn't able to quite kill him quickly enough. And yeah, it just didn't work out. I had to bail out of the first Cruel Labyrinth, so we weren't able to do it. And I actually tackled normal and Cruel Labyrinth basically around the time where I was level 52, which is a bit underleveled for Cruel Labyrinth, but I've done quite a few labyrinths now, so I was reasonably confident in my abilities, but not so confident in the single target of the character, and it did turn out to not be enough. So I moved on to Act 4 here and did some Dried Lake farming, and then after just kind of pushing it for a few more levels, getting a few more levels on Ice Trap and things like that, just getting a few more levels of the character right, getting a little tougher, getting a little more damage, I was able to just push through Cruel Labyrinth, and my god, once you do Cruel Labyrinth, your single target goes through the roof, because chain reaction is just so godly. And I can see that it'd be hard to I can totally see how it would be hard to justify playing trappers on another class now. There are a lot of other ascendancies that can make for pretty good trap builds, and I've heard you can do some things with Sunblast and maybe some like unique jewels and stuff like that to make trappers good, but this chain reaction is just so good. So what this does, if you guys are not familiar with trap builds, is this: when your traps trigger, your nearby traps also trigger. So this is based on the trap radius. So at the exact same time as getting this, I also just got the levels to get this cluster here, Master Trapper, which gives increased trap trigger radius. So there's 30% just there. So that actually triggers, helps the chain reaction occurring as well. So both of those things came together, and just everything came together here in the last couple levels to make this build just play so much better now. So this creates a chain reaction where all of your traps will go off. Now when you're using AoE traps, that means that the AoEs all overlap, and that's what gives you a butt ton of single target damage, and it turns something like Cluster Trap, which is 46% less damage, into a more damage multiplier, because, you know, you're hitting with all of the traps on the same target, and it ends up actually being more damage. So I'm now running Clarity. I'm using Blasphemy and Feeble, which it actually saved my life. I took a slam in Cruel Labyrinth and only had like 200 HP left. I would have died without Enfeeble, so it has saved my life. So good job, Enfeeble. I'm sticking with you. And I'm using Arctic Armor at the moment, which I really like on a Trapper as well. Even though you're not standing still too often, if you get stunned or something like that, obviously you're standing still, then you get the defensive applications. But the best thing about Arctic Armor is actually, when you're playing a Trapper, you're often kiting, right? You're often throwing your traps down and running back against more dangerous mobs. And when that happens, you leave that chilled trail down and it slows down the mobs. It's just such a nice boost, and it's great for bosses, because when you're like fighting Vile or something like that, you can run on top of them and just keep them chilled, keep the chill effect up as you're fighting them, and it just works so damn well. So this is what we're looking like for single target now. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's show you guys some actual gameplay. I've talked about it enough. This build has just gone from being, you know, okay, passable, I would say viable would be the word I would use, to being, oh my god, this is so fun to play. Holy crap, this is so explosive. So the single target has gone through the roof. Just that combination of chain reaction, which ensures that all of my traps go off every time. And the trap trigger radius just makes it such an absolute pleasure to play. Oh, damn, it's so fun. And on top of that, I also comboed in, you maybe notice I'm using a different trap just here. Let's get my golem out. Frost Bomb. I found a less duration, which in self-found is very good, because I would have had to spend like an hour to 90 minutes muling this off another character, because Shadow doesn't get less duration. I feel like ZiggyD should just make it so that vendors give all the gems now from like a certain quest, maybe in like Cruel or something like that. Maybe, hell, the Fairgraves quest in Act 3, you know that quest that no one ever does? Maybe if they made that reward all the gems, people would actually do it occasionally. So I feel like that should be the case, right? So I linked that to less duration, which is a more damage multiplier because it's a duration skill, and more importantly, makes the explosion happen earlier. So this trap now lays down a bunch of frost bombs, which lowers the enemy's resistance, and then explodes, dealing a pretty damn good amount of damage. So let me just show you just those. So each of those pulses lowers their resistances, and then the explosion kills them. So very good for single target, and great for like champ packs and rares and things like that. Because you combo it with this, right? You throw it out, and that lowers their resist, and then you follow up with the ice trap, which ends up doing a huge amount of cold damage. So the combo there is just absolutely brutal. And then anything that's still alive gets killed by the secondary explosion, right? So it works very, very nicely. Now there's something I haven't been using just yet. A third feature here is... Why the hell are you doing that, Ziggy? For massive AoE! Look at that AoE! So, one of the other ascendancies we got from the Saboteur, let me just kill everything here so I don't die. One of the other ascendancies we got is Bomb Specialist, increased area of effect for each mine. So all I did was put Smoke Mine, and this was suggested by my viewers, I think Pox was using something similar to that, and you just chuck down 3 sets of mines, and each one of those mines gives 4%. So I just have Smoke Mine linked to Cluster Mine. If I get an increased duration later, I'll link it to that. And then for, I think the buff lasts 16 seconds, so 16 seconds by default, and if I get an increased duration, that'll take it above 20 seconds. That's basically a 16-second buff of... I haven't actually done the math on it, but that's like 40% AoE or something. I'm putting down like, how many mines am I putting down? 3, 6, 9? You guys can do the math on that. It's a pretty large amount of AoE increase. So that just increases the AoE of all your abilities during that. That includes like Rallying Cry, it includes your Blasphemy as well. Like I'm pretty sure it's just all AoEs, isn't it? Increased area of effect for each mine. It's just a global AoE increase. So it's really freaking good, man. This is so much fun to play, and I can tell that I'm just gonna face roll through the rest of you know, the leveling process and get into endgame now. Let's give Vol a go here. Let me put down my smoke mines. You can use the smoke mines as a bit of an escape if you need to, but you don't usually need to. So we just kind of unload all these dudes here. Didn't quite do that as well as I could, but how good is that, right? You stack up all the mines and see what happened. All the mines were around him, but none of them hit him. And then I threw out that final set that caused the trigger and the chain reaction. All the explosions hit him and just destroyed him. So, you can one-shot bosses with this. Not like, you know, one-shot, but unloading all of your traps and then having them trigger all at once, like as the boss appears or something like that. We'll be one-shotting stuff so pretty soon, I'm sure of it. So... I'm pretty impressed, and I mean, I don't really have much damage scaling apart from specifically the trap stuff. Like, I have this little bit of elemental damage here, but otherwise it's just all trap nodes. Like, I don't have any cold damage or anything like that. You could use any elements, really. People are saying I could use things like arc traps or something like that if I wanted to as well. So there's a fair bit of flexibility in this build too. But, you know, long story short, things are going pretty well, guys. Things are going pretty well. So I'm going to continue to push this character in the self-found challenge today on stream, and I'll probably do a little bit more tomorrow as well in the upcoming week. Hopefully we stay alive. As I've never played a Trapper before, it's a bit of a different experience in terms of staying alive. You're not relying on Leech. It's a bit like a totem character. You have to rely on other forms of defense. So no Leech or anything like that to keep me alive. So it's a bit of a different playstyle, but I'm really, really enjoying it. Way more than I thought I'd actually enjoy it. So, oh, we got a coffer. Nice. So if all goes well, I mean, I don't have very good gear. Let me show you my gear I have. This thing, spell damage, lightning damage. It's a fair bit of damage. It's kind of okay. Just a crappy 4-link I found. Crappy. This thing's pretty crappy. The enchantment I got on this is great. Word of Spite. It shoots out a bunch of chilled ground. Really nice enchantment. So good. And I mean, just all my gear is just really basic stuff that I've found, or like I alked. Actually, no, I think I found most of this. I tried alking a chest, but didn't have much luck. But yeah, just all pretty basic stuff, right? No damage on gear, really, apart from that one wand. So even the shield only has the 5% implicit, doesn't have any other damage on it or anything like that. And non-crit, and it's just obliterating everything, so... It should continue to progress really well without needing any specific drops or anything like that, so... For Self-Found, this seems like it's turning out to be a great choice. I'm really satisfied with how this is going for Self-Found so far. Let's, to finish things off, do this lockbox. Hopefully it's not like anything horrible. Alright, that's not bad. We'll throw down our traps. Let's get our mines down as well, of course. Let's blow up some dudes. Oh, something set off. Oh, the avian wretch set off my traps before I was able to activate lockbox. You bastard! You ruined it. He ruined it. That was supposed to be an epic outro. Well, let's just pretend there was an epic outro.